come right into downward facing dog. We'll take this time to feel around in the body and to establish our Ujjayi breath. Distribute awareness evenly throughout the system. And come high onto tippy toes, bending knees, shooting the sits bones high, and then re-straightening, finding downward facing dog. We'll wave forward to plank position and then lower all the way onto your belly. Sweep the arms forward and drag your chest forward in this modified cobra to make space for the spine. You can even roll around at your neck. Slide the hands a little farther in, like a Sphinx pose, the elbows underneath the shoulders. You could even roll out the neck. And we'll plant hands and press to child's pose. We'll breathe space into the outer hips and take a moment to set an intention for the practice. It feels good. Sway a little bit side to side. Roll the heart forward and bend the elbows for Utkatasana. The heart will sink toward the mat. It's a nice opening for the shoulders and the thoracic spine. Keep sending the sits bones high and make sure your hips are about above your knees. Stretch the arms forward again. And keep allowing the heart to melt. If we were to stay here for 2 minutes and really feel this at the shoulders, we'll press right into tabletop and back to downward facing dog. And we'll sweep the right leg high. Draw the knee toward your nose and plant this foot between your hands, pausing and then sweeping the arms up overhead for a high lunge, dropping the tailbone underneath you. Reach up very high, freeing the sides of the ribs, and then tip over to the right. The right hand can support your waist as you stretch from the rib cage all the way down to the left hip flexors. Find your way back to neutral, reaching up high. And then we'll plant hands on the ground, step all the way into a seat, taking fingers behind your heels to get very low. Reach your hands forward and then lift the left elbow, lift the right elbow, get those arms up as high overhead as you can. Set it all the way down and roll back toward plow position. Slowly, slowly set a vertebra down at a time, feeling this like a forward fold, but on your back. Take your sweet time getting to the sacrum. And then we'll keep hold of the right leg, extending the left leg long, lifting the head and chest, and then switching. Pull the left leg in, the right leg stays long, lift the head and chest. Roll back over into plow, gain momentum, and then step all the way through to downward facing dog. Pedal out. Waving forward toward plank position. Heart goes forward, lower in Chaturanga Dandasana. Come all the way down into a Cobra pose, lifting the heart, the elbows tuck in tight. Free the neck, and then dip the heart low. Plant palms again and drag your heart forward as you lift into a Cobra. Gaze high. Lower down, plant hands. And then make your way into child's pose, expanding at the lower back, making any movement that will free the energy in and around the hips and the sacrum. Let this be a surrender moment. And then we'll come back to tabletop. Reaching the arms forward, drop the heart back down to Utkatasana, hips above the knees. Do your best to spill the pelvic bowl forward. If you can manage to get your chin on the ground, take chin to the ground, but make sure the neck isn't uncomfortably compressed. You can always set a cheek down instead. Let's climb back into tabletop, tucking toes, and refinding downward facing dog. Sweep the left leg high. With control, draw the knee forward, plant this foot between your hands, pause for a moment to establish your ground, and then lift up high for high lunge. Keep the pelvis as even as it can be. Reaching up and over to the left, you can take the right wrist for help, expand through the right side ribs and the front of the right hip flexors. We'll reach up high, offering the heart, and then stepping right into Utkatasana. Knees deeply bent, fingers can even press down behind the heels to get very low through the pelvis. I'm just pushing each elbow up to lift through the chest, sweeping the arms up, engaging through the shoulder blades. Then sit it all the way down, roll it back toward this plow position, shooting the heels as far back behind you as you can. And get this compression at the front of the throat and a deep flexion for the spine. Interlace fingers underneath you, drawing the shoulder blades tightly together. Then unlace and slowly roll out, hugging the legs in toward your body. Keep hold of the right leg, hugging the knee in, then interlacing behind to lift your head and chest. Pulling this leg as close as you can toward the right shoulder, as though it were maybe bird of paradise, except on your back. Or something like a Hanumanasana, a split. Either way, it's a nice stretch for the right hamstrings and even the inner thigh. And we'll switch. The left knee comes in. Squeeze tight. Interlace your fingers behind that leg as you extend it. Lift your head and chest and squeeze. And hold where you can and pull this left leg toward the left shoulder, just outside the left ribs, anchoring the right heel down toward earth. Breathe into the space you're making. Then lift both legs above you into plow position, rolling out, gaining momentum, and stepping into downward facing dog. Add a calf stretch or an ankle stretch, bending so deeply into one leg at a time. Settle back in for downward facing dog. Walk the hands halfway back and look forward, flattening the spine. Keep hands there, but bow in as though this were a modified forward fold. Then drag the hands a little closer, look forward again as though it's cow pose. And then exhale, bow in deeply, Utkatasana. Might even hug the legs in close. Shift some weight toward toes. And let energy drip down through the scalp. Keep emptying the abdomen as much as you can. Then we'll release hands, walking toward downward facing dog. Sweep the right leg high. Draw this knee toward your nose. Plant the foot between your hands and settle the left knee on the mat. The right hand stays low as the left arm sweeps up and behind you. The left hand now plants as we reach the right arm high. Lift the left knee up. Broaden across the chest. Make the legs longer. We'll step into a side plank variation. If you'd like to, string a bow, right hand taking hold of the right foot or ankle. Big breath. The right knee comes forward, this right foot plants at the top of the mat, and we find triangle pose. Right hand touching a surface as the left arm reaches up high, the gaze toward left fingernails. Roll down and walk the hands toward wide-legged fold. Expand through the chest and spine first. And breath circulating around your joints and muscles. And folding in. Hands shoulder width apart. Lift and spread through the toes. Peek forward, lengthen. Walk back over toward the right leg. Plant the hands and sweep the right leg high behind you for a vinyasa, maybe chin stand vinyasa. Clearing it all the way out. And back into downward facing dog. Sweeping left leg high. Draw this knee toward nose, plant the foot between your hands, and settle the right knee down on the ground. Left fingers stay as the right arm reaches up and behind you. Right fingers graze the ground. We'll tuck the back toes to lift the back knee and roll the left arm up high. Broaden across the chest and shoot the left knee forward. Bear more and more weight into the right hand, and we can step halfway back, all the way back, or even into side plank variations, stringing a bow, kicking behind you and taking hold of the arch side of your foot. With as much control as you can, guide the left foot to the top of the mat and build triangle pose. Left fingers stay low on a surface and the right arm stretches high. Long sides of the body. We'll fold this all the way down, walking our way into a wide-legged fold. Lengthen through the spine, shoot the sits bones up, and then calm all the way in, perhaps in Padahastasana variation, hands underneath your feet, fingers facing the heels. If your head touches the ground easily, you can always take the feet closer together so that even the spine benefits from this inversion. We have about 10 seconds here. Lift the heart, walking hands to frame the left foot. Sweep the left leg high behind you, and clear this out with a vinyasa flow. Maybe it's Gandha Barondasana. Meeting together at downward facing dog. Drag your hands slowly back, really savoring every chance to lengthen through the spine and to keep a sense of arch even as you're forward folding. Draw the hands from the pinky toe side of the foot to the big toe side of the foot, stepping right on for this version of Padahastasana, shifting weight toward the toes. Keep anchoring down through the heels in order to find length from sits bones to Achilles. Use the infinite emptiness of your belly lock to fold in just a little bit deeper. Releasing. Walk the hands back toward downward facing dog, shooting the sits bones up high as you melt your heart between your arms. And come high up on tippy toes and step or jump to the top of the mat, lengthening the spine and folding forward. Press down through the toes to stand up tall. Reach up, palms touching overhead, and hands sliding through the heart. Let's reach right back up, staying in motion, offer the chest, and dive down. Heart leads you to forward fold. Peel forward, and then step the right foot back. Step the left foot back for plank position. Heart forward to Chaturanga Dandasana. Heart forward again into Urdhva Mukha Svanasana, upward facing dog. And maybe you can roll onto downward facing dog without tucking the toes for a few moments to get a stretch of the front foot and front ankle. We'll sweep the right leg high, very high, so high you stack your hip and make space through that joint. Bending the knee, you could peek over the left shoulder, seeing your own toes. Eventually re-straighten and cross the right leg over the left for an eagle-legged downward facing dog. Unwrap it to sweep the right leg high, and then step the right foot between your hands, settling the left knee down, and then rocking with this slowly back and forth to bow over the right leg, and to lift the heart and chest, melting the hips forward and down. Do it a few times at the pace of your breathing. And then straighten the right leg fully and keep your bow, half Hanumanasana. Pay special attention to the outermost edge of the hamstring area, the IT band area. We'll melt the hips, bending the back knee and reaching with the right hand to take hold of toes. If you have the flexibility, come down onto the left elbow and draw the right shoulder behind you. Get the sense that your left hip could just keep dropping. And with it, all of the hip flexors become slack. Plant hands on earth, lifting the back knee, looking forward, preparing for standing balance. Draw the left knee toward chest and anchor down through the right heel. Transition this to a quadricep opening. Pull the left heel into your glute. Then extend the left leg forward, reach the arms forward, and then kick back again, this time dancer pose, opening. Kick the leg forward one more time, grabbing yogi toe hold. Lift through heart and head. And then come back into a dancer shape. And if you like to play with mermaid in your dancer pose, you might do that, hooking the left foot into the crook of your elbow and interlacing the fingers across your chest. Step to Tadasana. Ground down through the feet, hugging the ribs in. Sweep the arms up overhead, offering the chest up. Keep a light back bend as you dive in, find forward fold. Look out on the horizon, stepping one foot back, and then the other to plank position, inhalation, and then lower to Chaturanga, nice and slow. Forward and up to up dog, shoulders down and back. Maybe you don't tuck your toes as you take your downward facing dog, stretching the front of your ankles. Eventually settle the heels down. Make your space, and then sweep the left leg high. Little micro circles if you want to find a little extra space in the joints. Get so high you do stack your hip, and then bend the knee. Look up and past the right shoulder to see your own toes. Then we'll wrap the left leg in front of the right leg for eagle legs in a downward facing dog, aiming to shoot the sits bones high. Unravel it, sweep the left leg up, and step this foot between your hands. Settle the right knee down, shoot the hips forward and heart up. And then savor some rocking forward and back. Bow fully across or down the left leg. Melt the pelvis forward and lift the heart. That action stretching you from the right knee to the chin and all the hip flexors in between. Your movement at your pace. Eventually finding half Hanumanasana, this bow over the left leg. We'll keep shooting the left sit bone behind. Climbing up to bend the left knee deeply. Bend the right knee and take hold of this foot with your left hand, pulling the heel in close to the glutes. If there's room, settle the right elbow down on the ground and roll the left shoulder behind you. Imagine the pelvis just sinking toward earth. Trace that long line from the rib cage across the front of the hips and down through the quadriceps. Big spacious breaths. And then we'll release this, planting both hands, lift the back knee, find your focal point for balance, drawing the right knee up towards your chest, anchoring down through the heel. Let's kick behind us, pulling the foot toward the right glute. And then kick the right leg forward, reach your arms up. Reach back for Natarajasana, taking hold of the right inner ankle. Kick the right foot forward for Padangusthasana balance, yogi toe hold. Stay tall and firm through the center of the core. And then transition back again to Natarajasana. And if you'd like, play with Mermaid Pose, placing the right foot in the crook of your right elbow. Keeping the hips square, stretch the heart forward. And then step right in for Tadasana. Shake it out. And we'll stay in motion. Reach the arms up above. And crouch all the way down, setting up for a crow practice. Planting the hands shoulder width apart, lift the knees high up and toward the armpits, or the humerus bone behind the tricep. Squeezing in and up, engage the bandhas to stay light through the heart as you squeeze heels through the glutes. We'll take a few breaths here, and the exit will be chaturanga. When you're ready, clear it out, lift through the chest, and make your way to downward facing dog. Sweeping the right leg up high. Keep the leg straight if you can as you place the foot down between your hands, then bend it and stand up for peaceful warrior. Sink deep into the right knee and free space at the right ribs. Right hand plants alongside the right foot for side angle pose, left arm reaching across the ear as you roll your chest toward the sky, tucking the right hip underneath your body. Transition is to a funky side plank. The right ankle just crosses over top of the left foot. Arc the hips up high and let the left hand drape low. Bending the right knee, plant this forward for a pigeon shape, but we'll stay upright in our pigeon in order to really open the hip flexors today. So if you know the pose Bakasana, this is a variation of Bakasana with pigeon. So you may need to get propped up, sit high atop a block or a book, blankets, as you pull the left toes and heel toward the left hip. You want to aim the center of your quadriceps down toward earth to get the most from this opening. Keep drawing the tail underneath you and breathe space into the quads. If you play with mermaid or king pigeon, now's the time to do that if you wish. Release, planting hands and transition through to side plank variation, perhaps by grabbing your foot or toes, Vasishtasana B. Stepping behind, the obligatory wild thing in my practice, Chamatkarasana. Rolling out, right knee comes forward, we play with Visvamitra, transitioning into Hanuman, and you can always get props underneath the right seat. You can even use blocks or books underneath your hands if you want to stay lifted. Another alternative is half Hanumanasana. But if you're in pretty comfortably and deeply, you might choose to rock a little bit side to side. It's being sure to target all angles of the hip flexors and hamstrings. Lateral to medial, outside, inside. And we'll come on out of this just tucking the back toes, sweeping the right leg high behind us, settling the elbows down, and playing with dolphin or perhaps forearm stand. And if you don't have forearm stand in the middle of the room, please feel free, of course, to pause this and take it over to a wall for our inversion practice. Take the time you need, of course, but then eventually Vinyasa through. And we'll meet again at Downward Facing Dog. Drop your heart toward earth. Slide the left leg up behind. And keep the leg long as you plant this foot between your hands, bending the left knee, ground the back heel, and bring it up to Peaceful Warrior. Firm foundation through the legs, but this luminous heart reaching up high. Side angle pose, left hand touching outside the left foot, and right arm sweeps across the ear to make room for the heart opening. Spill it toward the sky. Draw the left hip under your body. Breathe right into the space between the ribs. And then transition. Plant hand, left hand gets firm. And cross the left ankle over the right front foot for this funky side plank pose, arcing the hips high as the right arm just sort of dangles down near your ear. Left knee comes forward on the mat, and we'll set up for a pigeon, but we'll sit upright in it. Please do prop up if you feel uneven and unbalanced in the hips or uncomfortable in any way. We'll work Bakasana here, just pulling the heel in toward the right hip, pulling the toes actually towards your ribs. If you find yourself swaying to the left, you won't be gaining as much as you can from this pose, so make sure the right side hip stays pretty heavy. Keep squaring the ribs forward. Even picture the strands of quadricep muscle, all four of them, kind of puffing out and expanding as you stay here. If you play with Mermaid or King Pigeon, you can do so now. Let there be ease in the body. And then step out, tuck the toes under, and roll over to right side plank. We're coming into Vashista B. You can take hold of the foot, reach it up overhead. And then take a step behind for Chamatkarasana, wild thing, big opening. Roll it all the way over to take hold of the foot with your right hand, pulling this into a Visvamitra variation, and then just setting the left foot down. You can bring a half Hanuman into the practice or full Never feel like you've cheated if you've got a block underneath here, underneath your left seat. Knowing when to prop up is so essential for healthy opening in the body. We could make the shapes, but if we're in agony, it's not yoga. If you're uncomfortably and pretty deeply, consider rocking left and right so that you get every single angle from left to right of the right quadriceps and the hip flexors, rectus femoris and psoas. And give it time to open. And then to exit, climb up, plant the hands. Keep the legs as long as you can as you slide the left leg up behind you, settling the elbows down onto earth. And we can keep it at a dolphin pose or find a forearm stand practice. Please feel free, of course, to pause this and come to the wall. If you're in forearm stand, hug the ribs in, point the tail to the heels, and grow taller. You settle it down, flow through Vinyasa. Downward facing dog. Drag the hands closer and closer toward feet, taking traditional Padahastasana, fingers facing the heels. Get length through the spine as you fold, lifting the shoulders and emptying the belly. And then release just enough so that you can plant your elbows on the ground. One final inversion in our practice, it's headstand. Take it to the wall if you wish. If you're comfortable in headstand, press down so much you could slide a piece of paper underneath your scalp. And we'll take it all the way down. Find forward fold. Roll the body upward, reach up overhead, hands to heart. If you wish to do more or take a Shavasana, please do. Thank you so much for watching. Please continue to comment, subscribe. I love reading your requests. Thank you again. Namaste.